In this video, we're going to review how to solve two-step equations. So our goal is to get the variable on one side of the equation by itself. In other words, to isolate the variable. Again, isolate means get it by itself. Variable is the letter. So our steps to solving a two-step equation. The first step, do the inverse operation for adding or subtracting. That's what we do first. Then we do the inverse operation for multiplication or division. And finally, you should always check your answer. So let's try one. Our first equation is 4x minus 8 equals 16. The first step says do the inverse operation for addition or subtraction. I see subtraction, so the inverse operation is addition. We add 8 to both sides. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. So again, I'm only left with 4x on that side. 16 plus 8 is 24. Second step, to do the inverse operation for multiplication or division. I have multiplication here, 4 times x equals 24. The opposite, or the inverse operation for multiplication is division, so I divide both sides by 4. X equals 24 divided by 4, or 6. If I substitute this back in to check my answer, I have 4 times 6 minus 8 should equal 16. 4 times 6 is 24, and 24 minus 8 equals 16. Check. Alright. Example number 2, I have a number, y, divided by 12, subtract 5 equals 11. Well, the first step says, do the inverse operation for addition or subtraction. I have subtract 5 here, so the inverse operation is add 5. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0, so I'm left with y divided by 12 equals 11 plus 5, which is 16. Again, I have division here. Fraction means division. The inverse operation of division is multiplication. I'm going to multiply each side by 12. So 16 times 12 is 192. Y equals 192. Let's check our answer. 192 divided by 12, subtract 5, should equal 11. So if I substitute, or if I do 192 divided by 12, that gets me 16 minus 5 equals 11. Check. Alright, in our next equation, we have decimals, but that's okay. We still follow the rules. 3.2x plus 2.6 equals negative 23. First, I do the inverse operation of addition or subtraction. I have add 2.6, so the inverse is subtract 2.6. So I have negative 23 minus 2.6. And that gets me negative 25.6. On the other side, 2.6 minus 2.6 is 0, so I have 3.2x. So 3.2 times a number equals negative 25.6. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I have to do negative 25.6 divided by 3.2 is negative 8. So x equals negative 8. We should always check our answer to make sure we're correct. So I'm going to substitute negative 8 back in here for my x. 3.2 times negative 8 plus 2.6 should get me negative 23. Let's just double check that. 3.2 times negative 8 is negative 25.6 plus 2.6. If you type that in the calculator, negative 25.6 plus 2.6, that gets me negative 23. Check. And in my last example, I have negative 6.85 plus a number divided by 4 equals negative 11. Now it tells me to get rid of adding or subtracting first, and even though it looks like there may be no adding or subtracting, we actually have to get rid of the negative 6.85 first. So the opposite of negative 6.85 is positive 6.85, because we're making a zero pair. Negative 6.85 plus 6.85 equals 0. And again, on the opposite side, I'm going to also add 6.85. Whoops, it's only 6.85. So negative 11 plus 6.85 equals negative 4.15. So some number m divided by 4 equals negative 4.15. The opposite or the inverse operation for division is multiplication. If I multiply both sides by 4, I should have my answer. So my number m equals negative 16.6. And again, if we check our work, substituting it back in here for m, I have negative 6.85 plus m, which is negative 16.6 divided by 4. That should get me negative 11. So let's test it out. Let's solve that first. Negative 16.6 divided by 4 is negative 4.15. So I have negative 6.85 plus negative 4.15. If you add those together, you do get negative 11.